Welcome to the Good Reading Podcast, proudly sponsored by Book People Gift Cards. A Book People gift card is the perfect gift for readers of all ages. Simply order your gift card online at bookpeoplegiftcards.org.au. Redeem at any one of over 500 bookshops across Australia. Visit bookpeoplegiftcards.org.au.
Derry lifted his eyes to the clouded horizon. Beyond those clouds lay free Landovel and true Landovel, the two large islands that had been one before the comet fell almost 75 years ago. They were real, Derry knew, though for him they might as well be fantasy kingdoms, existing only between the covers of a book. As he began to turn away from the window, he caught a glimpse of something far out to sea. It was a dark speck tipped with white, moving slowly but steadily through the green water. A bird on a mat of seaweed, a lonely dolphin separated from its pod. More than anything, the speck looked like a tiny boat with a white sail, but it surely could not be. No small boat would venture near Cram's rock, unless it was hopelessly lost. Derry looked away, pushing fears for the imaginary dolphin, the hapless sailor, from his mind. Even if they existed, he could not help them. He could not help himself. Weak light now touched Cram's grand chairs, elegant tables, rich rugs, golden lamps with painted shades, all captures, all bought with oceans of blood. Like Derry, like the other slaves, like the books.
Emily Rodda is one of Australia's best-known children's authors. Emily has written over 100 books for children, including the award-winning Rowan of Rin series and the Del Toro Quest series, which has been translated into 30 languages. Emily has won the Children's Book Council of Australia's Book of the Year award a record 6 times, and in 2019 she was awarded the Companion of the Order of Australia. Today I'm talking to Emily Rodda about her new 3-part series of books, Landovel. Emily Rodda, welcome to the Good Reading Podcast.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
As I read the first instalment of Landovel, The Poison Taster, it occurred to me that Emily Rodda still finds joy in writing for young people.
Oh, very much so, yes. Well, I adore writing fantasy because it's been part of my life, all my life, from reading times when I was little till now. But also I just like writing for young people because they have so much, how can I put it? They are just open to so many more things than a lot of times adults are. I have to say, however, that I don't write specifically with the idea of I am writing for children in mind at all. I honestly do believe that a good fantasy can be enjoyed by anyone of any age. And though I might write relatively simply, so that anybody of 9, 10, 11 can read and enjoy, I don't feel I'm writing down to the audience at all. And I don't see the reader as any younger than me, not really.
In fact, I'm going to pick up on that idea a little bit later in our chat. But first, like so many of your books, Landovel begins with fantastic places and wonderful characters. Tell me a little bit about the Landovel of your imagination.
Like all lands, it's part of its history. I mean, Landovel originally was a very large, very fertile island. And at some point, it was broken into by the fall of a comet, which caused earthquakes and so on, and split the country into two. Now, as it happened, the country was already in ferment, a sort of civil war situation, because there were twin heirs to the throne. The old king died, and one of the people thought that all the new machinery and things were bad, and the other was all for progress. And they started to have an argument about the way the country should be run. But then the comet fell, and that made a huge difference to everything. I mean, because it devastated the land, and it made the people who were following King Greville, who was absolutely committed to the idea that the immortal beings who have always shared the world with the mortals, did not like the things that were being done to the land. But basically, there's a huge civil war situation, and what happens is eventually there is Landovel in the south part. In between, there is a great strait which is caused by the comet falling, and in the north, King Greville rules in the name of the El. What I should say is that Landovel itself, it's called Landovel because in the very old days, in ancient days, it was something that was regarded as the land of the El. It was a place where the El congregated. That was the kind of fable, the legend. These days, a lot of people think the El don't exist, but they do.
Landovel, the poison taster, comes complete with a very useful map for navigating your way around Landovel. And here we find, as you said, the true Landovel and free Landovel. And somewhere in between the two sits Cram's Rock. Cram's Rock, it's a place of child slaves ruled by this very unsavory character, Cram. Cram doesn't seem like a particularly nice fellow. Why is he so mean?
He is just a person who has lived entirely selfishly through his whole life. He has thought of nothing but his own gaining riches. I think heaven knows what his own childhood was like. He's completely uneducated. And yet, the funny thing about Cram is, horrible as he is, and there's no doubt he is horrible, there's some strange things about him which make him slightly more interesting to me than an ordinary style villain. Like his second in command, Harker, is a kind of horrible person too, but he's not very interesting. Cram is very interesting because actually in there, underneath all that horribleness, there's a sort of longing for something else. He has this library of books that he can't read because he's illiterate. And one of the reasons Derry is saved from death is that he can read, and he's taken on as Cram's reader as well as his poison taster. I find this very fascinating. I find Cram's whole attitude to Derry fascinating because he both persecutes him and also looks after him to a certain extent.
Derry is a really interesting character. One of Cram's captives, by the way, a slave, and also a poison taster. Why does Cram need a poison taster?
Well, for one thing, he runs his fortress on slave labor. That means that there are the cooks are slaves, the people who bring his food are slaves, the people who clean his rooms. So there would be a lot of ways people could poison Cram if they wished. And probably his crew wouldn't be totally averse to getting rid of him and taking all the riches for themselves. But he keeps child slaves because they're easier to manage. He sells the grown-ups. He's effectively a pirate and a slave trader. And he, gets his adult slaves and sells them, and that's where he gets his gold. He keeps the young ones to run his place because it's literally a rock. The whole fortress is one rock island, big island, that just rises up out of the sea. It was such a strong image for me. I thought about it for such a long time before I even thought about Landovel. It was that Cram's Rock, this fortress that just comes up out of a polluted sea. It's still with me, actually, yes.
Now, Derry, as you mentioned, has one very special skill. He can read. And books are a big part of Derry's life. And his favourite book is Legends of El, and one that Derry reads from often, and one that Cram likes to have read to him, even though he dislikes some of the stories in there. Why does he dislike these stories so much?
We don't know what Cram's past was, but he certainly believes in the El. He fears them. He knows that to cross them is not a good idea. So we know that from the very beginning with Cram, and that's one of the reasons he's so enigmatic. A lot of the people in Freelanderville, which is the more industrialized Landovel, don't believe in El any more than we believe, in angels or witches or anything else. But some do, and Cram certainly does, and so do all his crew.
As the story progresses, Derry notices a tiny boat on the horizon, and a stranger enters Cram's Rock on the pretense of buying a slave, but she leaves behind a secret book. What is so important about that book? What does Derry discover in that book?
The book is left behind. It's hidden, actually. It's hidden in Cram's library so that it will not be found by people pursuing the stranger. It's important because it's effectively a password book, and Derry's going to hold on to it, and he's going to be able to find a way of reading it, by working out the passwords that will open each page. I love this idea too, because what it means is the book is with him, this little book is with him throughout his whole adventure. And yet he can't read all of it at once because he can't work out how to unlock the pages. And it means that, he takes every chance he can to read it, but he can't always read it. And sometimes he needs help. And yeah.
It's really interesting that when he first opens the book, the pages are actually blank.
Yes. And so what he has to do is work out how to make the truth appear, and he discovers it's in fact a journal, which is going to actually guide him and help him answer questions that he needs to know.
Landovel is in three parts. We've just talked a little about the first in the series, The Poison Taster, but we can also look forward to The Secret Keeper and then The Truth Teller, all published at once. And without spoiling the fun, where might The Secret Keeper and The Truth Teller lead your readers?
Well, I think that anybody who reads a thing that says, here's free Landovel, and here's true Landovel, and here's Cram's Rock, and there's the map, they know really that Derry is going to end up going to all these places. So he starts out at Cram's Rock, and then the Secret Keeper takes him, and the Truth Teller take him into free Landovel, then into true Landovel, and then deep into true Landovel, to the Scarlet City, which is the heart of it all. I mean, it's all about plots. It's all about spying in a way. It's all about being in enemy territory. It's all about suddenly sort of seeing actually things aren't as simple as they seem, which I always love. It's a quite complicated plot. And in the meantime, the people that Derry's with, the companions on the quest, are kind of becoming more real to us as well as to him. And he himself is kind of getting to be more confident. He starts out as someone who's very, very, very introverted. He has a handicap of a weak, damaged left arm. This has made him also sort of, from Cram's point of view, useless as a worker. But he, of course, the reading is what saves him.
I want to talk about your long and illustrious career. Your first book, Something Special, just celebrated its 40th anniversary with a special edition. Something Special is all about old clothes, their owners, and the memories that they hold. Are there special memories in that book for you?
Oh, well, very special memories, of course, because it was my first. And I actually always had that feeling about clothes. I had a thing called Spotty myself. It was a long, long dress. Kids always imagined me in it. And I always did imagine people wearing certain clothes. And I started writing it because I was telling my daughter a story, and it was just a little story I told her. We were collecting clothes for the school fete, secondhand clothes. But after I told her the little story, I thought, actually, that's quite a good little story. At that time, I was working with children's books at Angus and Robertson, but I wasn't writing them, just editing them. Anyway, so I wrote it down, and then eventually it got published and then won the Children's Book of the Year award. It was kind of amazing thing. The memories that particular book holds for me are huge, because I remember sitting at the dining room table, writing this in by hand. And the whole publishing experience was amazing, because I'd pretended I wasn't me. I sent it to my own publishing company under another name, and it was like a game I was playing, I suppose, but it was very exciting for me. And I always think of that time and those clothes that were in our spare room, just like they were in the book. So something special will always be kind of special, because it's hard to imagine that it was 40 years that I wrote it. And I mean, it was literally the start of something that has lasted till now. I mean, Landovel's published now, 40 years on. Amazing to think that it's all these stories and imaginings have lived with me for all this time. It's really such a privilege.
Emily, you clearly possess a powerful imagination, and it's taken your readers to all sorts of magical and fantastic realms. Now, the power of the imagination seems almost like a forgotten idea in this age of the internet and social media. Can we live without it?
Oh, I don't think so. See, this is why I think reading is such a different experience from, say, watching TV or playing a game. I mean, both those things are great. I love movies. I love, all those things. And I can see what fun games are. Well, I don't play them a lot, but I can see. But reading is quite different. It stimulates your imagination, the computer in your head. It makes your imagination work. And we have to be very careful about this. I'm very passionate about it, actually. We need our imaginations, because in every field, we need imaginations to be able to jump fences. Otherwise, we're just taking knowledge as we're ladled it out, and we're believing it, and we're taking in what's put in the newspapers, and we just believe it. We have to be able to stretch the boundaries, and that's what our imagination does for us. In medicine, in science, in economics, as well as in the arts, that the imagination, the thinking why not or what if about everything in our lives is so important. That's why I believe reading does that, especially because reading, actually, you're forced to make the image in your own head, and you are forced to think or stand in another person's shoes, I suppose, in a way that you can't exactly do in a movie. Not exactly. A book gives you an insight into other people's thoughts and lives, encourages empathy as well as imagination. And so in answer to that, no, like we can find we can get all the knowledge and all the detail and all that. We have to be able to bounce over the fences that we and other people make around our knowledge, and think of something new about everything. And that's what reading does. That's why books are so important to me.
Emily Rodda, it's been a great pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for joining me on the Good Reading Podcast.
Thank you.
I've been talking to Emily Rodda about her new 3-part series of books, Landovel. It's published by Allen and Unwin, and you can find it at goodreadingmagazine.com.au. My name's Greg Dobbs, and thanks for listening. This Good Reading Podcast was brought to you by Book People Gift Cards. Share the joy of reading with a Book People gift card. To find out more, visit bookpeoplegiftcards.org.au.